Warning: in this video there are spoilers regarding the butcher fight, so proceed with caution.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that alarm button.
There once was a man who could not hide his fear, so he wore a mask to transform his fear into rage. In turn, he was transformed into a monster full of devouring fury inside, collecting the fearful faces of its victims. That monster is the Butcher, and is here in Dunwich. We don't hunt the Nemesis monster, but instead they come to our doorstep. His furious war cry gave chill to the survivors, but the 4 challengers have arisen and faced the monster. Angel, are you afraid? Snow asked. Angel slowly nodded. It's okay, you see? Snow showed his shivering hand. It is okay to be afraid. This is something from I once read. Courage is not without fear, but it is to accept it, and still do what you must. And beat the hell out of your enemy while at it. Ha ha! Sabrina laughed and marched on to face the Butcher. Even Balthazar didn't comment against Sabrina's recklessness, for courage is the virtue we need at this moment. The Butcher is a dangerous enemy. Its attack might seem mediocre, but it can stack bleed very quickly and can torture your mind, killing you slowly but surely. And to be honest, we were not ready for that kind of fight. We could not make bandages to stop bleeding, and other than Snow, no one had any insanity to protect their mind. But we still had to try it. Plan is simple. Balthazar will tank the attack and hold the line while we all inflict damage, okay? Snow laid out the plan, and Sabrina encouraged Angel, who was still a bit shaky. Don't worry, just keep your distance and stay behind me, alright? Angel nodded. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she finally opened her eyes again, she was ready to face the Butcher's raging eyes. And Butcher threw a debris of a dead body toward the survivors as an opening of the battle. Sabrina dodged the debris with a light footstep and pulled a bone sword that was stuck in that body, and she rushed toward the enemy. The battle has begun. Sabrina, Snow, and Balthazar closed in toward the Butcher, and Balthazar raised his shield to defend against the Butcher's attack. Meanwhile, Angel positioned herself on top of a large stone face and steadied her aim. And the Butcher greeted them with a Spartan kick right at Balthazar. Balthazar did mitigate some of the damage with the shield, taking only a single bleed token. The Butcher is always on berserk, and its attack doesn't stop that easy. Towering over the shield, he tried to bite the head off the Balthazar, missing by the inches. Snow tried to attack from behind, and it seemed to hit, but both attacks were blocked by the Butcher's cleavers. Seriously? The echoes from the cleavers were filled with lunacy. Balthazar raised his shield to hold the line, while Angel shot her first arrow, which she missed. Nightmare from the day she hunted the lion came back. All the misses, all the dead. It's okay, keep shooting, Snow shouted, and Angel shook away the dreadful image and prepared the next shot. And Sabrina closed her eyes and concentrated on the spirit inside her to unleash the beast of Karatosis. Feeling the spirits drawing near, Balthazar shouted at Snow, "She should not be interrupted! We should protect her!" And they pushed on against the Butcher's attack. Butcher's cleavers sliced the air, but Balthazar blocked the blow with the shield. But something happened to the Butcher. On his fur cave there hangs lanterns decorated with the skinned faces, which both he took from his victims, and the lanterns shine with cursed, distorted lights. The light shone upon Angel, and the Butcher bizarrely turned his face toward her. Its eyes were burning with the lantern frenzy. The Butcher's trophies chose Angel as the next victim, and the lanterns empowered the Butcher. It will pursue Angel no matter what until she dies. Both Snow and Balthazar knew at that moment that the plan is screwed. The Butcher rushed to Angel and hacked her with the cleavers, but she managed to dodge away its attack. "Leave her alone!" Sabrina shouted. Her voice shook the air and her eyes were glowing with beastly red. And suddenly she disappeared. She closed the distance through the dreamland, and appeared right next to the butcher and smacked it with his spear. Her first strike landed on his vambrace, but the butcher blocked the second attack with his cleaver, and he turned his body to block the attack with the thick cape. The lantern light from his cape wounded Sabrina's mind. The flickering light aroused lunatic frenzy inside her, as if she was dragged into the butcher's madness. Snow sliced the butcher from the back, crushing its gauntlet and the mask, and he shouted, "Wake up, Sabrina! Don't let the madness take you! I'm okay. Damn, I should have done more with that attack." Sabrina seemed tired, unlike her usual self, and Snow could notice that Sabrina became extremely older than before. Her time was burnt by the power of the spirit. "Watch out!" Angel shouted while letting go of her string. The arrow flew right into the butcher's chest, but it was a trap. The monster's malice bursted around it, knocking everyone away and made them bleed. And then the butcher fondly walked toward the angel and sliced her. Then he grabbed her neck and looked closely into her eyes. The rays inside met the eyes of Angel, but she headbutted Butcher and shunned the gaze. "Get lost!" The butcher cried in the air, and he tried to kick and hack Angel, but she rolled away again. As the butcher chased her, Angel turned and placed her foot on his chest to stop it, and her bow was hanging on her foot. She pulled the string and shot the arrow. But the butcher dodged the attack with inhuman reflex. Everyone was too far. Only Sabrina could do her bone dart with beastly strength and wounded the butcher, but it did not stop it. The butcher raised its cleaver, and it was the last thing that Angel saw in her life. 5 bleed tokens, and she bled to death. And the lantern light looming over the butcher was finally gone as well. It took Angel's head as trophy and covered his cleavers with her blood. Yet, the fight was not over. Balthazar rammed the butcher from the back, but the butcher grabbed him by the neck with his 2 hands and glared with madness in the eyes. In that madness, Balthazar was reconnected with the dream world, and he grabbed the butcher's arm and shouted, "I am the immortal lord of Dorminatus, and you will kneel before me, and you will pay for all you've done today." The butcher laughed and raised his cleaver high, but Sabrina attacked him with the spear, driving it away from Balthazar. "Hey, immortal crownhead, get up!" Balthazar stood up and braced himself, and Snow attacked the butcher from behind. Successful hits, but the roar of the monster shook his head and knocked him down. The butcher continued his focus on Balthazar and smacked his cleaver against his shield. But then again, his lantern flashed with bizarre lights, and the light targeted Snow. Snow looked straight into the light and said, "Come, you monster, come." Snow dodged the butcher's attack. Everyone surrounded the butcher, and Sabrina threshed her spear and hit the crown on the butcher's head. In pain, it lashed wildly, knocking everyone down. But Balthazar dashed away from the attack at the last second, and he encouraged the Snow to stand up, and Snow did. The Twilight Sword struck the butcher from high, breaking the vambrace and the mask he was wearing. While covering the broken mask to hide its cowering face, the butcher hissed. But from his back, Balthazar swung his shield and pounded it until his head was buried between his shoulders. The butcher was finally dead, but the coast was so heavy. They tried to salvage the monster, but a flash of blinding light covered its body. Sabrina quickly threw her spear, but when the light was gone, so was the butcher. But at least Sabrina's spear freed Angel's head from the butcher's grip, and they brought her body back to the settlement. They buried Angel where others were. Snow could not hold himself from crying, mourning his daughter's death. And when the storm of acid rain came to the settlement, he ran off toward the storm, and he shouted toward the sky. When he came back, shivering in coldness, he found a broken lantern on the ground, burning its light in the air. He carefully held the light in his hand and carried it to the settlement. Even though his hands were burning from the heat, he didn't feel any pain, and they innovated the lantern oven, discovering the heat to smelt their weapons and warm their heart. With a newly earned fire, they held a feast to commemorate the dead, and suddenly Snow walked into the fire and branded himself. When he came out, the fire burned one of his eyes, but Snow felt power inside him getting stronger. While the feast goes on, Snow went back to the graves. He bent his knee in front of Angel's grave and whispered, "I'll fight on. I will, with all of you in my heart and my soul."